let me ask you this. From looking at it from the lens that you do, what what cryptid out there do you think might be real, in your opinion?
There's not a specific one, but the ones that I think are probably real are some larger variation of an existing animal or one that could be easily misinterpreted. Like there's a couple that are like,
Mm,
oh, there's a giant dog out in the woods and it talks. I'm like, okay, well, there's probably a giant dog in the woods and you were panicking. So I think that one's probably real. Does it talk? Probably not. Or flip side, maybe it can talk, but it's like crows that can mimic speech. There is a
mhm.
world because dogs can say things like "I love you, mommy." Like we've seen videos of
Oh,
dogs
yeah.
doing that. There is a world in which I can believe a giant animal, a predator, is smart enough to learn how to say "help me." I can see that.
There's a precedence in nature
Yeah,
for it,
I can
dude.
see that
There's a
being real.
precedence
So
in
when
nature
someone's
for
like,
it.
"Oh, it's not possible," I'm like, well, it is possible. We have examples. So when someone's like, "There's a dog
Mm,
that speaks out in the
mm,
woods," okay, probably not real. Then someone's like, "No, it says help me." Oh, okay, okay, I'm listening. Tell me more. And it's just I want to find the evidence, and I say I want the truth. I'm probably never going to find the truth, which is something you just have to acknowledge with it. But you just give both
mhm.
sides of the stories, and then my opinion. Do I think there's a giant dog that could say "help me"? Maybe it's possible. And then I let the viewer come to their own
Okay.
conclusion if they want to go, yeah, no, 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 it's for sure real, or no, he's crazy. That's not real.
Yeah, yeah, I can understand that. You know what? The ones that make the most sense to me are the ones in the ocean.
Oh yeah, those are.
Those are the ones those are the ones I can sink my teeth into. Like the 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 UFO bases in the oceans, I can get behind that. Like, if we're gonna be honest, we've if you subscribe to the theory that we have been to the moon, we've explored more of the moon than we have of our Earth's ocean. If you're gonna hide somewhere, the oceans would probably be the place to do it. I mean, I don't think I
Megalodon.
can't speak. Megalodon could still exist because I look at it from this lens. I don't think the ocean could support it, especially after humans decimated whales to what, 10% of their population at one point in our history, and they're just barely starting to bounce back, you know?
Well, if the giant squid could
An anim
exist and it fights with whales,
Yeah,
there's an area I could see a deep part of the
there
ocean
is.
where there's giant creatures that we don't see ever.
And for all we know, there could be an entire ecosystem going on down there that we have no knowledge of.
Oh yeah.
There very well could be a giant fucking shark down there because there is precedence in nature for giant shark. We did know they existed at one point. We know that whale sharks exist and they are massive, but they're filter feeders, right? Basking sharks are just as massive. They're pretty damn big, filter feeders. Great whites exist. Biggest one on record's what, 22 feet, and she was pregnant, so she was about as big around as a
Yeah,
hippo.
she was
Yep.
huge.
Big shark. Yeah, big shark, but not a megalodon. Because what I think the modern speculation on it is they were more built like bull sharks
Yeah.
or lemon sharks. Not really great whites. They were more built like lemons. Now, when you scale a lemon shark to the size of a megalodon, you're looking at 65 feet plus, maybe ranging into the 80s. You know, that's nuts, dude. That's crazy.
There's also I think which shark is the one that lives for like 300 years? Is that the Greenland ice shark?
The Greenland
Yeah,
shark.
so
Yeah,
I
they
I
the
could s
longest living vertebrate on the
yeah,
planet.
I could see an existence where maybe a megalodon could live as long as a Greenland ice shark, and it only gets to eat once every however many long because it doesn't do a lot. It just floats, and then occasionally, if it bumps into something, it eats it, and then just keeps floating
I
through
could see
existence.
that.
So it's not the alpha predator. It's coming up out of the surface and going oh like all the movies, but it could exist. It's just not in the way it's not the horrifying monster we think it is. It's a creature that we can't find because there's a lot like
Yeah, it couldn't sustain the high energy lifestyle
yeah,
we see in the
it couldn't.
movies.
Or flip side, maybe it could. It's just in an area of the ocean so deep where the things are that big, and it's just do 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 do, and it's too dark, and we'll never see them.
Who knows? Yeah, who knows, man? And what blows my mind is I might live long enough to maybe find out what's down there, or my kids will, because they're starting to pump all kinds of money into ocean research right now. Like NASA is even pumping money into ocean research. That's most people don't know that either. But NASA pumps a lot of money into going down to those trenches. Don't know why, but pretty cool. Pretty cool. I would love to know what some of those guys see. And I want to know why a lot of it's classified too. You ever dive down those rabbit holes?
No, there's a lot of so talking about classified conspiracy things like that. There's a razor's edge, and I've kind of seen that already with the small audience I have. But with the type of content I have, and with the type of content, the conspiracy theories, and the people that tends to attract, tend to be I'm not gonna identify any groups, but I'm gonna say unsavory groups that I don't really want. So if I'm going to look into something, it's going to be something like, okay, we have declassified documents, we have proof, we have this. We know what the actual answer is before I start talking about it. If I'm talking about one that's speculative, I'm going to be very bold. This is speculative. We don't know which one way or the other. This is a fun one, like the an easy one, the Laurel Canyon conspiracy. Have you ever heard of that one? Okay,
No, that one's new to
so
me. Let's dive
so
down that real quick.
super high level. A lot of the counterculture musicians and artists of I think it was the 70s had parents that lived in Laurel Canyon, and they were also high government and CIA and military officials. So the conspiracy
Hmm.
theory is they used their kids to be counterculture to force a rebellion to get the government to gain more power. They were pushing that as controlled opposition. That's just a fun
Okay.
conspiracy. There's one book that a dude wrote about it. From the brief things that I researched on it, a lot of people said there are holes in his theories. There's not a lot of evidence to support it. And that's just a fun little, oh, this is a fun theory. Here's a lot of circumstantial evidence. This is fun. But when you start talking about 9/11, you get a lot of people who are like, no, 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 it was definitely this. No, 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 it was definitely a false flag.
Oh,
No,
dude.
no, no, it was parts of it are
Oh,
true
dude.
and parts of it are wrong. And there's no real way to figure out all the truth. So if I'm approaching something like that, I have to be really, really careful, or I'm going to get an audience that is kind of dangerous, if that makes sense. And I don't,
It does. No,
I
I
don't
understand.
like, people can think whatever they want to think. That's fine. But there's a line where you're believing lies. And a lot of people like, well,
Yeah,
when you're talking about conspiracies, well, what is the lie? Is the conspiracy the lie, or is the
exactly.
official story the lie? And that's such a dangerous line that's
Well,
really hard to thread, where I'm like, okay,
I think it's I think it's especially explosive today
yeah,
because what you're getting at, dude, especially in this day and age when like AI is rampant, people are getting tricked constantly by AI videos. Like some of them are pretty damn convincing almost. There's been a few where I'm like, damn, that's all right. If it wasn't for the sixth finger, you almost would have had me.
yeah,
Like it, it's pretty insane. Some of some of the things people are getting away with these days, dude. I'm not going to get into that because we're not a political podcast.
yeah,
But bro, in this day and age, it really is dangerous. And you're right, dude. You're right. And honestly, man, I commend you for thinking about that because that's not something I would have considered off the bat. Like
well,
that's some
easy one that
shit,
I can
dude.
declare right now: racism is bad. I could just say that. That's not a controversial point. Racism is bad. But because I'm a white guy who talks about this stuff, I will see things pop up. Like there's one person who left a comment. They had a big Confederate flag on their logo, and I saw that, and I just
Mm,
went, "No, you're banned in my chat forever. Goodbye." Because I don't need you. I don't want you in my thing. Because you go, "Oh well, it's my hair." No, that's clearly a racist symbol. You don't need to be showing that. Oh, I'm a Dukes of Hazzard fan. I don't care. It's too close. It's too dangerous. I don't want you in my fan group because I don't want racists in my fan club. I'm not about that life. I don't
yeah.
condone it. I'm opposed to it. But there are other types of things that are along the same line that I'm like, ooh, ooh, no, 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 we don't want that.
Yeah, man. I get it. And it, it's just what is the word I'm looking for? It's just so much more explosive in this day and age.
Yeah,
Dude, like I remember I remember a time where like all this social media bullshit wasn't as big as it is now. And like a little rumor on the playground would become something that I guess would be a problem for a couple weeks. But then social media comes along, and a little rumor that happened in third period now becomes something that haunts you until your ass
Oh
graduates.
yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. It's
is social media, cell phones, all this stuff a good thing? Yeah, because we can communicate worldwide, but can it also come back and bite us in the ass in weird ways like this? Yeah, yeah. And that's something that, we have to think about now that we didn't have to think about 20 years back. Granted, me 20 years back, I was 8 running around in the alley looking for lizards, but, it's
yeah. I grew up
still, I remember.
being very, very much, hey, don't don't post things online you don't want to see later because the internet is
Yeah.
forever. I have friends that
Hmm.
I've told I'm going on this podcast or not that well, any podcast. I'm like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And they're like, oh, I would like to, but I know there are X, Y, and Z pictures of me doing ABC. I can't be online. I can't have an online persona because somebody has
Oh,
something
man.
devastating on me. And I'm like, I mean, that's the reality of the world, but that is also a scary thing to think about.
It is, but like I said about AI earlier, dude, like, there doesn't even need to be a true damning picture out there because with the way it's going,
They
someone's
can
just gonna
make
make
anything they
something,
want.
and it's gonna,
They
yeah,
could
and it's gonna fool enough people to where
be
it's not gonna matter if it's the truth or not.
being the optimist, there are a lot of tools that identify AI videos and stuff. There's actually
Oh yeah,
tools in YouTube now where if someone uploads a video and if if you're a partner, it's really easy to do. But if somebody uploads a video with you that's AI, YouTube will flag it and tell the creator, "Hey, this video has your face in it. Is this you?" And you can take it down immediately. There are tools and ways
yeah.
to mitigate it, but there's also like the truth will eventually come out. If there's a video like okay, the who's the guy that plays Reacher? What's his name?
Oh geez,
Uh,
oh, I can't put me on the spot like that. I can't remember.
yeah,
Is
huge guy.
I
What
know
was
what you're
it?
talking about. Yeah, yeah. I don't know his name, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, anyway, I
Like the
forgot what his so he's huge giant of a guy. He fought with his neighbor and the video went viral of him just punching his neighbor a bunch. And he's winning the
Oh
fight
yeah,
clearly. You don't see his neighbor throw any punches. You just see him punching his neighbor. Went viral. A bunch of
whooping
people
his
were like,
ass.
"Oh, that's AI," or "Oh, he should be in jail." Blah 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 blah. So everyone immediately jumped on him for it. But then his video
Yeah.
came out where his neighbor attacked him and started the whole fight, and then the truth came to light and it flipped back to okay, everybody understands why he did that. So I'm of the camp, even
Hmm.
if a video goes viral of someone doing something horrific, if you can prove later that it's not real, people will say, oh well, what about this video? Like there are still going to be people that believe it, but eventually they will be corrected and going, oh no, that's not right, that's wrong. You'll have to wade through the temporary, oh, how do I disprove this? But once you're done, you're free of that.
Yeah, and see, I think the problem is, I think a lot of people, there's a lot of people out there that might just be too lazy to take the steps to do it. You know what I'm saying?
But
Or
if you're
maybe they might not know how, but I see where you're getting, and I think you're right, but I also got to play the devil's advocate
you do. My
sometimes.
my devil's advocate to that is if we're talking mainly online people, but if you're not an online person, why would you care? Like if it has
Exactly.
no
Yeah.
impact on your life and there's a video of you kicking a dog out there, that's never gonna bother you and it might never impact you. And then if it comes up later, like, hey, did you kick a dog? No. Well, there's a video, and you look at the video. That's not real. That's not where I live. I don't own those boots. Like you could poke holes in it, and then the people who know you go, okay, this is fake, and then they can spread it back. No, that's not real. He doesn't own the. No, he never owned a dog. The dog went through the boot at one point in the video. It's clearly not real. There's ways to disprove it if it mattered, and if it matters, it'll eventually get disproven. If not, it'll just get buried under the rest of the slop, and it won't go anywhere.
Well, that's a good point, man. And I hope, excuse me, I hope that it continues to be that way. I hope AI doesn't get to the point where like you really just can't tell. I genuinely hope that doesn't,
I think
because
there's always going to be the uncanny valley of a video.
yeah,
Like
I think
even
you're
the
right.
hyper realistic
I hope
Will
so.
Smith one where he's eating spaghetti in the commercial. It's like that looks like Will Smith, but that's not Will Smith.
But well, man, we are at the part where we usually have my regular co-host Carrot. he likes to dive into the mental health side of hobbies. A lot of the questions he likes to ask are, how has this hobby helped you? What has this hobby done for you? And usually I give my personal example. So for me, and one of the reasons this podcast started is when I got out of the military, dude, I was a mess. Long story short, I was a mess. There was a lot going wrong in my life, and it was just, when it rains, it pours type deal. And, I end up getting into the reptile hobby. I get Bubba. I get Bubba. And at that time, early on when I got Bubba, there was a big stretch there where I wanted to basically sell all my shit. I was gonna sell Bubba, sell the tank. It was this tank I raised him in right here. And I was just gonna go to Ukraine. I was gonna buy a plane ticket. I was gonna fly to Poland. I was gonna catch a train, go to the Ukrainian border, and say, "Hey, give me a rifle. I'm here to fight." Hand him my documents, and say, "Look, I'm a soldier. I know what I'm doing. You know, served once. Let's go." And at that time, they were taking anybody breathing. So that was what I was gonna do. And while I was thinking about all this stuff, one day I look over at this tank, and Bubba's sitting there, and he's looking at me. He's looking up at me. And in my mind, that lizard was like, you're not getting rid of me. I'm not going anywhere. Like, you're stuck with me. I'm not going anywhere. I'm like, yeah, you know what? You're right. Like, you're my responsibility. I picked you up. Let's do this. So I started diving into the care for these animals, and I dove into it hard. And I realized, one day I woke up and I realized, you're diving into these lizards to do all these things to care for them, make sure they're good, but you're not doing a damn thing for yourself. I looked in the mirror and I was like, you're not doing anything for you. So that's how this hobby, my hobby, helped me out. And it continues to help me to this day, man. That's one of the reasons the show happened. So what is your hobby? And it could be your channel, it could be Warhammer, any of the things we talked about, or even something we haven't talked about, man. What does your hobbies do for you?
Yeah, so a lot of my hobbies are kind of interconnected in some way. So, and they all provide a huge sense of community. So I have like starting up at my
Yeah.
church, I have a lot of friends at my church and we all do video games or tabletop games together. Like that's how we bond and spend time together. Or I do production stuff. I'm a production guy at our church too. So I get to do a lot of
That's
that.
awesome, man.
Then if you stem down from that, I have my core friend group and we all do Warhammer, Halo. I haven't played BattleTech much yet, but we've got all these other games, Song of Ice and Fire. We have all these miniature games, and that's what we play because that's what our community does. Then going further,
That's
we've
awesome.
got the video games that we keep doing. And then for myself, I have my YouTube channel that I get help from and ideas from people and encouragement. So that helps, like, oh, that people like this. This is something positive I'm putting out in the community. But it really just boils down to community. I always have someone to talk to, someone to do something with, starting with the people at my church, and then we spread out further based on which piece of media or game or something we like to play together. That's really what the core of it has been for me.
That's awesome, man. That's something that you share in common with a lot of the guests we got is the community aspect of hobbies. Like I said earlier, it brings people together, dude. That's what got Jason and I together. Um, it was during that time where I started diving into reptiles more and more, and I started listening to podcasts, and I started listening to a gecko podcast ran by this dude and his buddy Anthony, and that's how he and I became friends, man. Community that hobbies can bring to people is a powerful thing,
Oh,
a truly powerful.
I was gonna say
Go
from
ahead.
just the hobby podcast stuff. I'm friends with Mark, friends with people in the UK now, people all across the US, people in
Okay.
Canada, and it's all just from being in that podcast. I get all these extra friends because community is just it grow. If you put yourself out there, it's pretty. I would say mileage may vary, but if you put yourself out there and
Mm,
you're just an honest, authentic version of yourself and you're kind to people, it's pretty easy to get
yeah,
friends in different parts. Even if you don't like, we're lucky that we all live in Phoenix together, and a lot of my co-hosts on Warhammer also live in Phoenix, which is awesome. But if you have like, you can have friends across the nation or across the globe because we have all this technology like we were talking about. It's possible to be part of an
mm,
online community if you're not able to find a local one. And I encourage everyone to try and go do that in some form.
Oh, 100%, dude. I mean, like Jason, I got friends down in Australia. I got friends in the UK, just like you. Like Lupercal,
Yeah,
that's the guy over
Lupercal.
in the
Yeah,
UK. I love when he's a guest. I love when he's a guest host and he reads because then I really gotta like lock in and just pay attention to what he's saying so I don't fuck up what he's saying because the accent throws me off sometimes. So buckle in, bud. He's
he's reading.
reading.
He's got a good voice too, though, so it works really well.
He does. He does. Yeah. No, like he kind of reminds me of some of the audiobook
Yeah,
narrators for 40K. That British accent there. He's a lot of those guys on there, man. Crack me up. You guys crack
we
me up.
try.
Jason, you got any questions for him on this side of the
You
on
know,
this side of the track?
actually for like YouTube, right? What kind of requests do you get the most? Like when they want you to do some content.
The funny enough, the most common things I've gotten outside of people's specific states are a lot of more complicated biblical topics or biblical characters that aren't really mentioned in Christian canon but exist outside of that. So a video that I'm working on that probably not going to come out this year. I'm working on a video about Lilith, who in the
Mm,
broader Christo-Judaism canon was Adam's first wife, but she's not mentioned anywhere in the
yep.
Bible. So I was like,
Nope. She was taken out in the Council of Nicaea. That was part of the stuff that was taken out back then by the rabbis in the
I
Council of
don't even think
Nicaea.
she was part of that. Like I just can't find anything about her from the Christian side. And spoiler alert, she shows up in a lot of Jewish writings. I think around 600 AD
Hmm.
is what I found. And then there are
Yep.
references to something similar to what Lilith became in 2400 BC in I can't remember something the Byzantines wrote. So there's examples of her doing it, but I haven't found how she ties specifically to Christianity because she's more of a Jewish figure. There's one verse in the Bible that has the word Lithu, but not the name Lilith. So it's a huge kerfuffle. But there are a lot of things like that, like,
Hmm.
hey, I heard X, Y, and Z. I don't know where that is or what that is in the Bible. Can you tell me more? And I'm like, okay, so I'll start working on a video for that because that's something that's interesting and people want to hear about that stuff.
I get on another one. Like, how long does it usually take to make your videos?
If I lock in, I can probably crunch out a video in a week.
Okay.
The problem is life gets in the way, so I have a bunch of
Oh
projects
yeah.
that are partly done, and I haven't published or pushed them yet because I still have like, okay, I have to go back. I have to add the music to this one. Okay, I have to go back. I have to add the visuals to this one. Okay, like my process is a mess. But if I do one from inception to completion, it would do a week. The problem is I don't have a good system, and I'll get I don't have ADHD, but ADHD brain. I'll hop from one thing to another to where now it's like, okay, I have all this stuff and no finished content. So and it's frustrating, but I'm getting a better process going.
So here's a question I got. When you're creating a video, what are some tools or I guess thought processes that you might use to put it together? Um, the reason I ask that is because I'm trying to kind of put a story together, kind of like what Mark does with what's that other podcast he does
Lorehammer or
where he
Spinner
takes
lore.
people. Oh, yeah, that one. Yeah, I'm doing some homebrew lore, and I find that trying to weave the story on paper is pretty difficult. So I can imagine trying to make one in video form, is kind of difficult as well. What are some of the things that you do to help you get through it?
So the way I've always looked at it in creative writing or my writing, which technically it's not, it's I'm not gonna say it's not fiction, it's subfiction because there's a lot of cryptid stuff in there. So I'm gonna say it's subfiction.
Mhm.
But I always start out with if I want to tell a story, a narrative, I go, okay, who are my characters of this story? Who do I want to be in it? Okay, I have the characters now. Okay, where do I want them to go? What do I want their end goal to be? Okay, I want them to
Yeah.
be like I want to have 5 Space Marine scouts become Astartes warriors. I want to talk about their trials and their journey. That's my thing. Okay, cool. Where do they start from? We'll start from when they're neophytes at base camp. Okay, cool. I want to start from neophytes at base camp, and I want them to end with being full blown Astartes. Let's talk about their missions in between? What's something cool that they did in the middle there? What do I think is interesting that would be a fun story to tell? Okay, well, take Space Wolves. Okay, they have to go out on a great hunt and they have to hunt a wolf, I think is what they have to do. I'm going to tell the story
Mhm.
about their journey of fighting the wolves. For my videos, like the sleep paralysis demon one, I start with, okay, what is a sleep paralysis demon? Let's define that. Let's look at the science behind what people say these are. Let's look at the religious, the cultural, the impacts that these have they are. What's the psychological impact they have? Then when I get to the conclusion, I take all of that and I go, okay, here's what science says, here's what religion says, here's what culture says, here's what psychology says. With all these things in mind, here's what I think the right answer is. Could I be wrong? Possibly. There's always a chance I could be wrong. And I'm never saying I have the definitive, this is the right answer. But based on the evidence I have, here's what I think is the way I frame my more research videos. That's a better term, research videos.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, man. I struggle with the character development, I think. While we're on the subject, you mind if I share my nerdy little story with you guys?
Yeah, sure.
I'll see what you guys think. So, well, rather than reading it, I'm just going to give you the premise because I look at this constantly and I have it all memorized. So basically, this is what my overall vision is. So imagine a planet that was visited in the early age of discovery when mankind was out and it was, colonizing the stars before the age of strife, right? Before everything went to shit, and the emperor had to do the war of what is that? Where he united
The
Terra
Unification War.
with the Thunder Warriors, the Unification War. Thank you. Had a brain fart, and this is before this happened, right? There's a research ship that goes out and it finds this beautiful planet. Looks just like Earth, functions just like Earth. It's pristine. It's amazing. And all these scientists are just fill like this ship is filled to the brim with scientists. One of the scientists is a biologist, and his specialty is herpetology. So he has a shit ton of monitors, a shit ton of snakes, a bunch of other lizards on the ship with him. He has this whole collection with him. Well, they land on this planet. They colonize this planet. And over generations, right? This this guy builds a family, and his family breeds these monitors, and these monitors start to go out and colonize this planet. He has Komodo dragons. He has Asian water monitors. He has crocodile monitors from Indonesia. He has all kinds of monitors. I think one of the ones I wrote down was black throat monitors. And black throat monitors are huge. It's one of the lesser known monitor species for people that are not reptile people, but they get massive. So I purposely picked all these big, just formidable monitor species. So they go out, they colonize this planet. Then a warp storm comes and just ravages this planet for generations, hundreds of years. This planet is just ravaged by a warp storm, and it wipes out the entire human civilization on the planet. They just get wiped out. They start chaos. They all end up killing each other. All the humans wiped out, gone. Well, during this warp storm, all the Varanids, all the monitors that have colonized this planet, all of the ecosystems on the planet, the warp starts to mutate them. They start to evolve, but they're not mutated like a lot of these demons are, where it's just big and nasty, like the Nurgle guys, or big red things with horns. If they're you know got corn involved, no, no, no. They start doing their own thing, right? They start doing their own thing because in my homebrew lore, the monitors they're smart, right? And that intelligence it counteracts the corruption that the warp can do to the mind, and that's why they started to evolve into their own thing. Well, eventually, all these monitors they evolved into kind of an upright sort of humanoid stance, bipedal. They still have their tails, their arms have stretched out. They have opposable thumbs, but they still have the claws. They still have the teeth. They still have the crazy, crazy reptilian intelligence that their ancestors did. And basically, these different species they all evolve as clans, right? You have the Komodos over here, the Komodo clan. They specialize in basically armored warfare where they don't quite have technology yet, but they just armor themselves up. They have clubs on the end of their tails, and when they swing that whip tail, there's a club on the end. and they've modified their hands to have blades to augment their claws, and they've augmented their teeth to where they all have metal cap teeth. And then you go over to the excuse me, the tree monitor clan, and the tree monitors, they specialize in like arboreal warfare. So they've developed like primitive gliders, you know, and they can shoot bow and arrows from the glider and blow guns. And they have these crazy long tails. If you're familiar with crocodile monitors, they have these crazy long tails. They're actually the longest lizard on the planet. Not the heaviest or biggest, but they're the longest. They're mostly tails. And they've weaponized and augmented these whip tails. So they have these crazy blade whip tails like the Eldar, you know, they have their blade chain whips. They have those. And I've kind of been going off of that aspect where each clan that evolved from the specific monitor basically evolves to where each one has its own like legion of Astartes equivalent, you know? And I'm at the point where I want to bring some kind of outside element, some kind of outside force to come in and introduce technology to them. Because the human technology, that was all wiped out generations back during. And I want to figure out how to bring these guys from the Stone Age, you know, well, not Stone Age because they have metal tools and metal weapons, and I want to figure out the best way to bring them in to the space age, kind of like what happened to the Kroot. If you're, you know, you're obviously familiar with the Kroot, but that's what I want to bring them to at this point, and I'm stuck.
You could follow the crew kind of route and do Tau. It's a little played out.
hmm
You,
I'm trying to avoid the Tau because it is played out with the
yeah,
Kroot. That's why I mentioned the
you
Kroot.
could do like I don't know if Fabius Bile would fit perfectly into that, but a Fabius Bile like character who sees them and wants to do experiments to see if he can make them some kind of mutants for a specific Chaos Legion. That could be fun. You could just have rogue traders that land there because there is, I forgot what they're called, but there is a species of lizard. There's a model for it. I have to find what it is, but there is a species of lizard walking around. Lizard, what is it?
I see where you're. I think I see where you're
Yeah,
going with it. Well, so one of the reasons I want to exclude the Imperium as well, like you mentioned, rogue traders, I want to save them for later because I do eventually want them to be like an adversarial race towards the Imperium and have them go up against a chapter of some
that would
sort.
be fun.
But I want them to have the technology first. And I was thinking about orcs.
Orcs would be fun.
That was a route that I was thinking. I was also thinking about Eldar, but then I'm like, the Eldar would just fuck those dudes up.
Yeah,
But like I thought, you know, with the way I've built up, you know, these like these, you know, walking Komodo people and, you know,
it,
monitor
if I
people, they could take on the orcs, I think.
it pops up every now and then. If I find it, I'll send it to you. But it is a rogue trader model that's part of the Necromunda set, and
Mhm.
they're intelligent. But it would be interesting for them to find this species and then engage with them and be like, "Oh, hey, you guys are like me. What is he?" That's gonna drive me nuts now.
Is he the one that ended up being contracted to a chapter master,
Mm,
and he's basically his um like executioner or assassin? He goes out and kills the people that the chapter master's pissed off at.
no,
I
it's
think he was a lizard dude like that.
yeah. If I find him again, I'll send him to you. But I know he's a technologically alive lizard and he's Necromunda. But I can't find it right now. But if I find it, I'll send it to you. But like his species on a rogue trader ship would be interesting to land there because then he could have that connection with them because they're all reptilian and he could work with them and give them technology and then his ship can leave and they can grow that way. Or you don't even have to introduce a character. Have a rogue trader ship crash there and they reverse engineer it. There's another way you could do it.
Dude, that would be a good way for me to actually kind of get them towards meeting the Imperium
Yeah, and
at a later date. Because let's say that rogue trader ship crashed, they reverse engineer, like you said, and they're learning about the Imperium in a not in a direct way, because they have no context for what the Imperium is, but they're seeing the artifacts, they're seeing, you know, all these paintings and murals, but they can't understand the script. They can't understand any of the Gothic. So they're kind of piecing together what the Imperium might be in a weird way without any context. All they can all they can figure out about the Imperium is what they're seeing, you know?
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be cool. And then they'd want to go out and try to find the Imperium and go, all right, what are you guys about? And then boom, war happens. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe they're like, oh, you know what? We need to go find these people and fuck them up and take more shit, kind of like the orcs would, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, you've got different. You could have a ship comes to rescue them, and that encounters a fight. You could make it a smaller Space Marine craft, so there were battle brothers that are dead now in there, and they're looking for their brethren. You've got tons of different flavors of how you could do it, and it doesn't require you to introduce new Imperium characters because you just need bodies on a ship, and that could save you some writing direction there.
And what ties this all together is what you said earlier. A lot of your hobbies tie themselves together, you know? And this is me taking my reptile hobby and brewing up some homebrew, like some homebrew 40K Warhammer lore, dude. And I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I am having a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is fun. The
But
the hobby space, regardless of what your hobby is, especially creative hobbies, but a lot of it is just really fun. Just have fun with it. That's the
Mhm.
super special thing about um just hobby lore in general. You can just make up whatever you want. It doesn't have to be cut and dry. Here are the rules. Here's the fun you
Mhm.
can have with that. And that's something I think GW has been kind of encouraging as of late because they've been loosening the restrictions on how you have to paint your army, how you have to do this, how you have to do that. Okay, now it's here's the rule. Like in this edition, it was the first edition where they introduced I think they're just detachments now, but you pick a detachment and the rules say, okay, here are your rules. It used to be, here are your rules, and you have to be a Raven Guard player, and you have to be an Ultramarine player. Now it's, here are your rules you have to do. You can be whatever you want. They have sub things that are specific, like there's one specific for Raven Guard because it includes our chapter master. That's specific for us, but everything else is, oh, just play Space Marines, you can use this. There's no color requirement. There's no nothing, and it feels a lot of people don't like it, but it's more inclusive and lets more people be creative with what they want when they play it.
Right on. All right. Well, this is going to be one of my last questions because we are approaching the 2 hour mark, and then I'll open it up for Jason for some questions. I think you might have already answered my question, but what's your legion? Original first founding legion.
Raven Guard. My first. This isn't the right one, but the first character I ever bought was Kyvan Shrike, and I still run him as often as I can when I play because I love their lore. They're so much fun. I love the style. I love how they play. Just I love the Raven Guard.
I can appreciate the Raven Guard. Can you guess what mine is? My favorite first founding chapter.
It's not the Salamanders.
Mm,
It's probably Night Lords.
no, Alpha Legion.
Oh, I always forget Alpha Legion is a thing.
Everybody does. That's why they're one
I
of my
know
favorites because I've been digging into them, dude, and it's just I love it.
yeah, they're the Hydra
Love
Dominus.
it.
They're pretty. Alpha Legion is just a cool thing. It's like they're so cool, but they're so forgotten, and they're so easy to flip in or pull out. Like it's just they're in a weird spot.
So Jason, you remember how earlier how I kind of described the Space Marines,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's those crazy super soldiers
Yeah.
in power armor. So imagine you gave the CIA a Space Marine Legion of like 2,000 of those dudes. That's what the Alpha Legion is.
Okay.
That's the best way to describe the Alpha Legion.
Pretty accurate.
If you were to give, the, like an intelligence agency like the CIA,
Give them some muscle.
or MI6 or whoever, yeah, if you were to give them a unit of Space Marines, it would be those dudes. Because like a lot of these other legions, they all have their own fighting style. Like the Raven Guard, they like stealth. They like to strike from the shadows. They do units that would make sense to a modern like a unit here, ambush tactics, stuff like that. The Alpha Legion, their specialty is a lie on top of subterfuge on top of another lie. Like here's a good way to describe it. Each legion has a Primarch. The Primarch is like the main dude, and his genetic code is what all the other genetically modified dudes are based off of.
Hmm.
The Primarch. Well, the Alpha Legion has two. All the other ones have one. The Alpha Legion has two. Alfarius and Omegon. And they're identical twins. And all the dudes, all of their legionaries, they are all either surgically modified or just try their best to look as close as they can to the Primarchs. So you never know if you killed the Primarch, some random grunt, some line officer. You never know because they all look the same. Like that's how they do their thing. Just subterfuge and layers upon layers of fuckery. Like if they're gonna go into a war, I just finished one of the Horus Heresy books that covers the Alpha Legion. If you're going into a war and it's not already done by the time you start fighting, you've already lost. That's their mindset. Because what they want to do is they want to get into the leadership of, whoever they're fighting and have them start fighting each other. So they just implode internally, and then the Alpha Legion can come in and just steamroll because they're already fighting amongst themselves. That's how those dudes fight. And that's not common among the legions. It's actually looked down on by the other legions because they're sneaky.
So I guess
It's a lot of shit.
I guess like a little close. So where did the Hydra Thoughts? Where did that name come from for you?
That's a good
It
question.
came from, so my wife and I were trying to figure out a good name for my channel, and the original one we were going to go with was the Rambling Raccoon, because we joked that there are a bunch of raccoons in my head fighting for control all the time. And I looked it up.
That's pretty good.
The problem is there's a character. I forgot the name of the game. There's a game. I think it's Indigo Park. I hope it's Indigo Park. There's a character named Ramble Raccoon, and I was like, I'm not fighting with a Five Nights at Freddy's spinoff for the name of my YouTube channel. So I'm like, okay, Ramble Raccoon's out. And then because I'm Greek, I was like, what if I put Hydra in there somehow? And the original tagline was going to be Hydra Thoughts, one head, many thoughts. But I never have time to say that, but that's where it came from, and that's just what we've been running with.
Okay.
I like it, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I like it. It makes me think of the Alpha Legion.
I'm glad I could be that for you.
Yeah, dude, I like it. It's cool. Well, man, do you have any parting words before you start plugging your channel and telling people where to find you?
No, just get in a community, a gaming community, local community, church community. Just have people around you in real life or online if you can't find anyone locally to just do life with you. I think that's the important thing, is we all need people to do life with us to make it better than it could be on our own.
Yeah, those are perfect parting words. Hell yeah.
Yep.
Perfect parting words. Well, dude, tell us where we can find you.
Yeah,
Tell the masses.
the primary way to find me is on YouTube. It's just at Hydra Thoughts. That's my channel. If you want to find me on Twitter, I think it's Hydra Thoughts YT for YouTube, and then Instagram is Hydra Thoughts channel. If you ever want to message me or something, that's the two places to message me. But if you want to see content, Hydra Thoughts. I'll go on Lorehammer occasionally, so those are always fun episodes. Love that show. And yeah, that's where you could find me.
And Jason, remind everybody where they can find you, bud.
Oh,
The Podfather himself.
oh man, well, not really podfathering it right now, but you can catch us on Gecko Exchange podcast on YouTube. You can catch my stuff, Ghouls and Geckos on YouTube, Ghouls and Geckos, IG, Facebook, Gecko Exchange, IG, and I think that's about it. If you guys are reptile heads, come check us out at the show. All American Planet Reptile Expo. I believe it's May 15th, that weekend. So come by, say hi to us.
Yep, we'll be out there. And this episode will be out before that. So yeah, definitely come out. Say what's up. We'll be there.
Sweet.
But gentlemen, this has been a good episode, man. We talked about some good stuff. This has been great, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. This was a lot of
Both
fun.
you guys.
Blew my mind, shit.
We'll definitely, right? Yeah, dude. We're definitely gonna have you on again.
Oh, for
'cause
sure.
I think you're gonna put some cool stuff out in the future, and I'm gonna be like, I need to pick his brain.
You're like, hey,
So,
that
dude.
episode we need to talk. Come on my show.
Yeah, we need to talk about that one. I want to know what you know.
I've got follow-up questions
All right.
and I can't fit them in your comment section. Come hang out again.
Exactly. It'll be a good excuse to just come and bullshit with the boys, because that's what we do here, man. This has been a
I love it.
So again, dude, thank you for coming on, and it's been great. It's been great.
It's fun.
We'll have to have you again.
Definitely.
All right, boys. Well, I think I've taken enough of your time. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, this has been an episode of the Hobby Hanger. I hope you enjoyed it because I sure as shit did.
Yeah.
As always, if you want to find us on Instagram. You can find me personally, SweetT480. You can find me there. If you want to find the Hobby Hanger, it's the Hobby Hanger Podcast. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and if you want to find us on YouTube, we're there too. So show us some love, click the like button, and as always, ladies and gentlemen, stay sexy.
Peace.
Breaking down reviews, got the hottest takes. Dropping all the scoop like a chef serve cakes. Tune in every week, you know what to do. Join the Hobby Hangout, we got room for you. Grab your headphones, kick back, relax. We got the stories, true facts to the max. From east to west, we got the whole globe wrapped. Tristan and Connor got this podcast talking about hobbies, baby, every single show. Chilling with the best, let the good vibes flow. Here, time to unwind. Let Tristan